This is the 6th video to section 3.5, and we'll be continuing with transformations of functions here. When we're given a function with more than one transformation, we'll want to follow the order of operations. So if we look at number 6, our toolkit or base function is the absolute value of x. If we remember, that looks something like this. Our order of operations says to do parentheses first, so we're going to do what's within our absolute value, which can be considered our parentheses here, and that would be to multiply by a factor of 2. Now, if you recall, this is a horizontal shrink by a factor of 1 over 2. So what we can do is multiply all of our x values by 1/2 here. Let's first start out with a few key points to the first graph. And since this is a horizontal shrink, once again, let's multiply each x value by 1/2. And we'll plot these points. And our graph so far will look like this. Now, we have to consider the negative outside of our absolute value next. And if you recall, that's going to be a reflection over the x-axis. So with our 3 key points, we are going to have to take the opposite values of our y values. So this used to be a positive 1 here. Now it will be a negative 1. This was 0, that'll remain 0. This was 1/2. Now it will be a negative 1. We'll plot the graph. And so far, our transformations are looking like this. And then let's take the very last step. We're going to add 1 to our function so far. And that is going to be a shift 1 unit upward. So once again, we're going to take our points and add 1 to all of the y values. And then from here, we'll go ahead and we'll plot our graph. And there's a rough graph with our transformations applied. Let's take a look at the second graph. We'll notice that we have a square root function. So we should start with our base function, the square root of x, which looks something like this. And we'll consider a couple or a few key points. Now let me do something that may appear just a little bit tricky here, but we need to address this 1 minus x in the inside. At first, what I'm going to do is add 1 to the inside of the function. And if you remember, this is going to be a side-by-side shift, 1 unit to the right. That means we are going to subtract 1 from all of our x values in our key points. And we'll go ahead and plot those points. And we'll have a graph looking something like this. Now, what I'd like to do for number 3 is I am going to put a negative sign in front of my x value here. And what that means here is for all of our x values to our key points, we are going to take the opposite values to those. So this will be +1, this will remain 0, and this will be -3. We'll plot our points, and there's just a bit of a messy example of the graph so far. Let's go ahead and take our last step by adding 2. You'll remember if we add 2 to a graph, that will be a shift upward by 2 units. So we will want to take our key points again, but this time, since it's an upward shift by 2, we are going to add 2 to all of the y values. And that's the end to the 6th video for section 3.5.